Going to begin this morning with that major announcement yesterday from the Santa Fe District Attorney regarding the Rust movie shooting investigation.
Actor Alec Baldwin will be charged with involuntary manslaughter in the shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the movie back in October 2021. NBC News national correspondent Miguel Almaguer has the latest.
Were you in the room when someone was shot?
Holding the gun, yeah.
With prosecutors calling his actions on the set of Rust criminal disregard for safety, Alec Baldwin now faces involuntary manslaughter and a firearm enhancement charge for his role in the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. The district attorney's bombshell announcement means if convicted on all charges, the famed actor could face up to 6.5 years in prison.
The gun was in his hand when he pulled the trigger, and that was the main action that killed Helena Hutchins.
Prosecutors say Baldwin is culpable as both a producer and as the actor who held the gun that killed Hutchins.
I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
Authorities now say they do not believe Baldwin's statement the gun misfired.
Alec Baldwin said he never pulled the trigger on the handgun that fired. Do you believe that?
That's not true. And we know that from the FBI lab report. That gun would not have fired without the trigger having been pulled.
Calling the announcement a terrible miscarriage of justice, Baldwin's attorney says, "We will fight these charges and we will win."
Do you think someone should go to prison over all of the evidence you've reviewed?
Prison is not necessarily the goal. What I want is justice for Helena Hutchins, and I want people to take responsibility and take accountability for what their actions or inactions led to.
After sorting through a trove of evidence that included body camera footage, police interviews, and forensic testing of the gun, the DA is also charging the movie's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, with involuntary manslaughter, which her attorneys call the result of a very flawed investigation.
This was something that was more than mere negligence. It was people acting recklessly, people not doing their jobs, violating all of the standards that we all have to follow if we have a gun in our hands.
Prosecutors say Dave Halls, the assistant director who looked at the gun before it was given to Baldwin, cut a plea deal with the DA for a lesser charge, getting probation after agreeing to testify against Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed.
He's going to testify to the truth. He's not out to get anyone. He's going to testify to the truth.
A movie set tragedy, and now the real-life consequences for the actor, the armorer, and the assistant director, who authorities say should have all prevented the deadly shooting.
Thanks to Miguel Almaguer for that report. Hutchins' husband Matthew says he supports the charges, adding, quote, "No one is above the law." NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us now to break this all down. So, Danny, we talked about this when this first went down. You're pretty critical here of the district attorney's decisions.
Yeah, first, just as an aside, can we stop with the "no one is above the law"? It's such a hacky phrase. And is there anybody on the other side saying, no, there are people that are above the law?
Right.
I mean, they may act that way, but nobody actually believes that or says it out loud. Yes, I am critical of the prosecution. And after hearing their interviews yesterday, I'm even more critical because now I know their theories of the case. And I think they have problems. Number one of their theories, when asked, are you going after him as an executive producer or as an actor who pulled the trigger? Their answer, I guess both. How's that going to fly with a jury? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, they don't even know which theory that they're proceeding with. The other thing they said yesterday is that the issue of how the live round got on the set is a red herring. It's not important to them. Let me try out my closing argument on you two. You tell me what you think. Members of the jury, the prosecution didn't even bother to find out how this live round got on set. It's even possible that this is someone sabotaging the film set. They didn't bother to find out. Do you know why? They don't care. That person is still out there. We don't know who it is, and they don't care. Why? They had tunnel vision from day one. They knew the trophy they wanted, and it was Alec Baldwin. Listen to their interviews. 3 or 4 times they talk about, you fancy pants Hollywood types, you're not above the law. They're evidencing to me that they have a vendetta against Alec Baldwin. Now, did he bring it on himself by giving all these podcasts and interviews and going on air and saying, I've investigated this and I think there are other people responsible? Yes, that's why people like me say, Keep your mouth shut. Don't give interviews. Don't go into that interview room with the camera that you see on the TV shows where everybody talks themselves into jail. Don't talk. He broke that rule. Shame on him. But that shouldn't be the basis of a prosecutorial decision.
So, love it. You're fired up. You can give us a closing argument. Okay, Dan.
How was that closing argument? Did you buy it? You don't buy my closing argument?
Well, I didn't buy it because you're right. I do think the big question is about the live round.
Well, I don't know. I don't have a law degree. Isn't there a period of discovery?
Barely have one.
In which the prosecutors can, by the time they do enter closing arguments, have developed that?
Yes, but they've already given us their preview. They're charging. We know the theory on which they're charging Alec Baldwin. They told it to us, and it will be borne out in their charging documents. And I don't think they're going to vary too much from that. They told, and I know the subsections of the statute they're talking about. There is a permit. I should say this. When using a firearm, there's a permissive subsection that says all you need is ordinary negligence. That's not good for Baldwin. But my argument to that would be, yeah, but this wasn't a firearm. Alec Baldwin didn't believe he was holding a firearm. He believed he was holding something else. Now, look, the other thing to consider, this is New Mexico. It's an open carry state. You're going to have members of the jury who probably know more about firearms than the three of us know about firearms. So will they say, if it looks like a gun, even if you're on a film set, and it's a futuristic ray gun, a laser gun, you shouldn't even point that at anybody. If it looks at all like a gun, even if it's a block of plastic, never point it at anyone, never pull the trigger. Well, look, if that theory works for the prosecution, then maybe he gets convicted, but I think there are too many holes.
Danny, first of all, I like the yeah. Second of all, you mentioned something that I think is what a lot of people at home are wondering if they're kind of looking at the details and don't have a law degree, like we actually don't and you totally do, which is what you mentioned about being charged as a producer or an actor. What you just said right now about if it's plastic or whatever, that's him as an actor on set. I'm holding what I think is a prop. I've done this many times before. I'm an actor. It's my job. I know what I'm supposed to do. As a producer, the question is, how did the live round get on set? What were the safety conditions like on set? But if they were just focused on the producer aspect, would there have been more people that should have been charged?
Yes, and that's a great point because you have a chain of command. If your argument is, and I'm not sure this is true, I think the defense can fight this. If your argument is that Alec Baldwin was the king of this production, that he was the guy who oversaw everything, maybe you have a theory there, but then why not charge people under him in the chain of command? Well, the answer would be, look, that's why you hire an armorer. Yeah, is she young? Is she inexperienced? Yes, but you rely on the professionals that you hire in order to make sure they do their job. Now, is that a convincing argument to 100% of the people that you pitch it to? No, but it only needs to be convincing to one or two on that jury. That's my point here. And again, in the interviews, they talked about probable cause. That is not the standard that prosecutors should use when deciding to bring charges. Probable cause just gets you to a trial. They should believe they can prove their case to beyond a reasonable doubt. See up here, beyond a reasonable doubt, not just probable cause, which is more likely than not. That is their ethical duty. They must believe they can prove the case.
We still have that outstanding question of Alec Baldwin saying he never pulled the trigger, claiming that the gun misfired, and then the district attorney telling Miguel Almaguer, there's no way, we've done forensic testing on this weapon, there's no way it could have misfired.
2 points to that. Number one, I'm not so sure that hurts Alec Baldwin that much because he still has the fallback argument of, okay, so I did pull the trigger. I still believe this was a cold gun. Part two is this will be a battle of the experts. And I believe, I could be wrong, I'm not a firearms expert, but I believe they will be able to find at least one firearms expert that will say, with these older model single action revolvers, it is theoretically possible if the hammer's making contact with the firing pin that it could go off if it's jostled. That's why they have a thing called the cowboy load. And that was when in the old days they would leave one of the chambers empty because they knew the firing pin would be resting there and that could cause an unintentional discharge. If they find one expert to say that, they've created reasonable doubt in my mind.
Danny,
but I'm a defense attorney. I'm biased. So
I'd like to see you in there on this one. You're fired up. I
am fired up about this one, yes. Now, the Idaho stabbing case, that's one I would recommend go plead guilty quickly. This one, take to trial.
Danny Ceballos, as always, thank you. We appreciate you.
Well, one of the biggest breaches in Supreme Court history remains a mystery this morning. After a lengthy investigation, the court announced it has been unable to identify the person who leaked a draft opinion, indicating the court was ready to roll back abortion rights. The investigation also showed it was unlikely that the court's IT systems were compromised. The investigation was conducted by the Supreme Court marshal, who said 97 court employees were interviewed. all denied being the leaker. Traditionally, the court's internal operations are shrouded in secrecy. The High Court called the leak, quote, one of the worst betrayals of trust in its history and a grave assault on the judicial process.
If we rewind all the way back, this Sunday marks 50 years since the Roe versus Wade decision was made by the Supreme Court, allowing women to legally access abortions across the country. But as we now know, that decision was overturned nearly 7 months ago, launching several legal challenges over total abortion bans, abortion pills, and crossing state lines to access the procedure. Thousands are expected to rally in Washington today as part of the March for Life protest. Organizers are now setting their sights on Congress as the reproductive battle continues on the state level. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra joins us now from the National Mall in Washington, D.C. with the latest on this. Hey, Marissa, good morning. So what can we expect to see from today's march? What are organizers focusing on this year, and what do you anticipate in terms of turnout?
Good morning. So we spoke to the president for March for Life, and she echoed how a lot of people feel that are participating today, which is that Dobbs was a critical milestone, but it is not the end of their fight. With the overturn of Roe, they said abortions are still happening, and so is their march, because their whole objective is to end abortion. So you can see they're set up to do just that. Behind me, you can see a lot of the setup for the march that will be happening today later on in this afternoon. And behind me, you can see the Capitol, because what they're doing today is they're changing their route as a symbolic gesture. You said how they're setting their sights on Congress. Well, they are walking past the Capitol. They'll be stopping in front of it before they make their way to the Supreme Court. And for the very first time, they're not going to be stopping at the Supreme Court. They're going to be stopping in between the Capitol and the Supreme Court, again, as a nod to what lies ahead in their fight against abortions. And so when we talk about the changes this year, because Roe has been overturned, but as we mentioned, they said that there's still more of a fight. They're taking this to a state level. They said that since 2019, they've been trying to expand marches on a local level. This started with Virginia in 2019, and now they've moved to nearly a dozen states. We know that they've expanded more states this year, but then the last thing is they're trying to change the culture now. They're really shifting to a cultural change, quote, trying to make abortions unthinkable. Savannah, Lindsay.
And Marissa, let's talk about the other side of this, because this weekend supporters of abortion access have their own events planned for this weekend. It includes a bigger than Roe event. It's called What Do We Know About Those Events?
Yeah, so you mentioned it yourself, bigger than Roe. That's something that we know the Women's March is putting on local marches across the country, because the whole idea behind that is that they say that Roe was never meant to be the end. They said that Roe was the bottom line. I want to take you to an interview that we did with the CEO for Physicians for Reproductive Health on what she says there were concerns as Roe was in place and concerns that remain now that Roe is overturned. Take a listen.
There's a lot of confusion about what is safe, what is not safe, what we're able to do. When I say safety, I mean legally safe now that abortion is banned. We know that abortion in and of itself is very safe, is very effective. But now the question becomes legal safety, both for people seeking abortion care and for providers like me who are supporting people who do so.
So bottom line, supporters for abortion rights are fighting for legal and safe options for people who need to get an abortion. And ultimately, the change here is that now that Roe is overturned, really what they're trying to fight for is they're saying, again, Roe was not the end. Roe was the bottom line, the bare minimum of what they're asking for. Savannah, Lindsay.
All right, Marissa Parra, thank you so much.
Congressman George Santos is denying new claims that he participated in drag performances while in Brazil. It's just the latest accusation about the lawmaker's past that has come under intense scrutiny. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sturkin joins us now from Capitol Hill with more. So, Julie, good morning here. The issue here, obviously, is if it was kept hidden, and also he's expressed some anti-LGBTQ views. Hang on 1 second. We're working on Julie's audio.
Sorry about that. Technical issues from home when my dog is the only producer I have around. Every day it seems like we have a drip of new allegations against George Santos. Obviously, you mentioned a big one that we heard about this week, which is perhaps the least offensive of these revelations that we've been finding out about, but he's responded to it first. This caught my eye because he's ignored all of these allegations against him, from campaign finance allegations to lying about just everything in his past. And he chose to address this one with a tweet yesterday saying, quote, "The most recent obsession from the media claiming that I am a drag queen or performed as a drag queen is categorically false. The media continues to make outrageous claims about my life when I am working to deliver results." But what's awkward for Santos here is that my colleague Kate Santos actually spoke to two people from Brazil. One, a drag performer who said, who shared that video you see on your screen, who said that he knew George Santos when they were in Brazil, when George Santos was, quote, trying to be a performer, but didn't have what it takes. You see the journalist there interviewing him. That's actually someone that my colleague spoke to as well, who reaffirmed that that is, in fact, Santos in 2008 in Brazil, during Brazil's first Pride March, going out there trying to perform in drag, Santos denying it. And you mentioned how this ties into his anti-LGBTQ legislation, something that he's called for during the campaign. He aligned himself with the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, even saying that as a proud gay man, he doesn't believe that students should be taught sex or sexual orientation in schools. He's definitely aligning himself with the hard right in his party as well. We saw him interacting with Matt Gaetz, for example, in the congressional chamber.
The congressman is also pushing back, Julie, against reports that he took funds from a veteran's dying dog. GoFundMe has already banned Santos from the platform. What more do we know about these claims and how he has responded?
Yeah, this is just another stunning allegation, and one that's pretty tragic. I mean, this veteran, Richard Ostoff, he's from New Jersey. He said that in 2016, he was living on the side of the road with his dog that was helping him get around. You see a picture of it on your screen there. The dog developed a life-threatening tumor, and he turned to a pet shelter, which at that time, Santos, going by the name of Anthony DeVolder, owned and ran, and he turned to him for help. Santos helped him raise money, but unfortunately swindled him out of $3,000, according to this veteran that NBC News spoke to as well. Santos, by the way, responded to that allegation later in the day yesterday, saying, quote, "The report that I would let a dog die is shocking and insane. My work in animal advocacy was a labor of love and hard work. Over the past 24 hours, I have received pictures of dogs I helped rescue throughout the years, along with supportive messages." We asked his office why the drag comment, for example, is the one that he chose to respond to first. Also, why they're choosing to respond to everything in drips and drabs instead of talking to the media and addressing it all at once. But as you can see, he continues to deny these allegations, but more and more are coming out against him.
Julie Sirkin, thank you.
Now, President Biden is back in Washington today after surveying the damage caused by those severe storms in California. The storm created devastation across the region and killed more than 20 people statewide. The president also warned that climate change could create more extreme weather. NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa joins us now for more on this. Hey, Ali, so before we get into the president's agenda for today, we'll touch on that in just a moment. Let's start with this trip to California. What was his assessment of the damage there, and what kind of support is he pledging?
Yeah, guys, President Biden toured the damage and devastation caused by this series of devastating storms in California. He saw all of that firsthand yesterday. He went to this small town called Capitola, this town that heavily relies on tourism, that was just devastated by the series of storms. He was there with the FEMA administrator as well as Governor Gavin Newsom. And President Biden made it very clear that he believes climate change is to blame for just the severity of these storms, and he pledged to give his full support to be able to rebuild after these storms. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The people in California, I say it again, the country is here for you and with you. We are not leaving till things are built back and built back better than they were before. You can recover from storms. We'll be with you every step of the way. And I mean that sincerely, every step.
The president approved a disaster declaration a couple days ago to help Californians rebuild. And then hours before his visit to California, he actually upped the number that he was giving in federal aid, not just to rebuild after these storms, but also to better equip the infrastructure of California in the wake of these storms, guys.
Ali, this trip to California, of course, comes with some big news as the backdrop. The president did speak for the first time about those classified documents that were found at his Delaware home. What did he have to say about that?
Yeah, this came after days, really, of the president and the White House ignoring questions from reporters in the wake of the discovery of these classified documents. The president yesterday taking one question about this during his trip to California, really downplaying the outcry and the backlash in the wake of this discovery. He said that there's no there, and he says that his administration and his lawyers did everything right in reporting this to the National Archives as well as the DOJ as soon as these classified documents were discovered. Listen to what he had to say.
We're fully cooperating, looking forward to getting this resolved quickly. I think you're going to find there's nothing there. I have no regrets. I'm following what the lawyers have told me they want me to do. It's exactly what we're doing.
The president finally commenting on this, but there's still major looming questions that reporters have been trying to ask the White House about this, like what level of classification these documents are, and actually, why the White House waited so long to acknowledge them. Remember, it took more than 2 months, and after media reports for the White House to acknowledge just that first batch of documents.
Yeah, and there have been several more since. Ali, also, we're now at the halfway point of the Biden presidency, and we understand he's going to be celebrating achievements from the past 18 months later today. How will he reflect on it, and when can we expect the official announcement on a 2024 run?
So we expect President Biden to deliver remarks later today talking about his legislative accomplishments and the campaign promises he's been able to keep over the last 2 years, and then which ones he plans on delivering on for the next 2. He's likely going to talk about legislation that he worked to achieve across the aisle, like the bipartisan infrastructure bill, health care reform, the ongoing fight against COVID-19 and inflation. And then he'll probably talk about what he aims to do over the next 2 years in battling inflation, on protecting women's reproductive rights, on student loan forgiveness. Looking ahead to 2024, there was some thinking that President Biden would make this announcement on whether he would or wouldn't run in 2024 before the State of the Union on February 7th. Then came the discovery of these classified documents, obviously this new special counsel probe. And now sources familiar are saying that while the timing of his announcement is still in flux, it definitely won't be coming before the State of the Union. But the White House is insisting that this new special counsel probe is not impacting whether or not President Biden will make this announcement. So we're still really in this waiting and watching period, guys.
All right, Ali, Rafa, thank you so much. Let's get more on your weather this morning.
Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us with the latest. Michelle, doesn't sound like a great weekend for some.
It does not. Hi there, guys. So good to see both of you. And we are tracking the lingering effects of this cross-country storm today. And then we have another storm right on its heels. It's going to come this weekend. So let's start with what we're seeing left over from this cross-country storm. Still seeing some snow falling in portions of the Northeast, the interior parts of the Northeast, also New England. Mostly this is snow showers, because we're wrapping in that colder air. You can see that spin on radar. The blue is where the snow is falling. Seeing a little bit of rain. That's the green. And also seeing a mix. That's the pinks and purple. So icy spots this morning, tricky travel for some, but this is going to be the last of the storm. We're going to see improving conditions as we go throughout this evening. Still, though, we have some winter alerts. 8 million people impacted this morning by winter weather advisories or a winter storm warning. That is in the pink. That includes Bangor, Portland, and Manchester, your winter weather advisory. So this is what we expect for the rest of today. We're going to see that area of low pressure finally lifting out of here. We're going to say goodbye to this cross-country storm, but still first seeing scattered snow showers for much of the interior Northeast, also New England, and then really gusty winds, much colder temperatures. We're still mild in some parts of the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, but you factor in the winds. We're going to see winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour. It's going to feel colder than it is. And then look what happens as we go throughout today. Another storm system. We'll see clouds first increasing over the Gulf of Mexico as this frontal system slides towards Louisiana. And then tomorrow you sort of see that outbreak of rain. Heavy at times, those brighter colors, reds, oranges, yellows, along the Gulf Coast into portions of Florida. That is tomorrow. And then Sunday is going to be a miserable day for many of us along the East Coast with really heavy rain falling and then bringing in that cold air on the backside of this system. We're looking at snow in interior portions of the Northeast once again. You can see that line of pink in the middle there. That's a dividing line between that warm and cold air. We'll talk more about this storm in next hour, and we're going to talk about the weekend forecast in just a bit, too.
Okay, Michelle, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Sounds like a great weekend. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.